Welcome back to Cards and Comics, and today I have my first new comic book mail day in quite a while. I've been in Chile. I've been working on some videos and some comic book content because I want to, obviously talk about comics because it's pretty much half of what I do, even though I don't spend as much time on it. I know, in general, again, I've said it before. I don't get a lot of views on my comic book content, but it's fine because it's what I do. So I'm going to keep doing it because I love comic books. So, but I hope you enjoyed that little bit of an intro video where I'm going through Saratoga Comic Con. I usually set up at that show, but obviously being in Chile for one of the days of the show was not possible, and so I got back Saturday night and decided to go late on Sunday to see the show, and after my daughter's lacrosse game. So a lot of fun, and I do love the show. I mean, it's always bigger in the summer or in this time period. I usually set up in July, in the past, and that show is definitely a lot more. I think there's more cons that are competing with it, so it's not as big. So this was great. I picked up one book. It was this book right here. I had it on my Instagram. Hopefully you guys are on my Instagram. I'll put it on the screen for you guys if you want to check out my Instagram. I post a lot of my new pickups. And this book I got at the show. It is not a direct edition. It is a newsstand ASM 300 in great shape. Obviously, clean and pressing is the way to go for any of these books. I bought it for $600. I had a dealer offer me $800 and another one offered me $850 for it before I could even leave the show. So I think I got a good deal on it, and it's a clean book. It's going to get graded eventually, but the reason why I bought it was I'm always looking for newsstand ASM 300s, but I sold a couple ASM 300s at the show in Albany. That hopefully you check out that video. That was some of the books I sold. So this book is so liquid, it just, if you bring them to a show, you got them priced fairly, you're going to move them. And so I just want more volume in this book, but I also want a newsstand anytime I can get one. So that is the first book on the video. Hopefully you enjoyed that book because it is, obviously one of those books that, has such a almost cult following. I believe one just sold in a 9.8. The newsstand version for like $26,000. So again, I think that's why you've got people just I call it like hounding the streets trying to find these newsstands now. Next up is a Spider-Man #2. This is the Del Auto Virgin variant. It's supposed to be limited to 1,000. We'll see. It could be. With the modern variants, I'm going to do a video on variants. This could be 1,000, but it also could be like 4 versions of this. I haven't really looked at it. I just like it was cheap for one thing. I like the artist, and so I just went ahead and picked it up. But a lot of times these books have multiple versions of them, and so this one's 1,000, but there might be another one to 500, another one to 2,000. Who knows? I haven't looked it up too much to see if that's the case, but it's just a cool cover, and I picked it up because of it. Next up is Divergence 1, the free comic book day. I got 2 copies of this. This is the first appearance of Grail, and so I think it's a low end spec. I think I paid a couple bucks for these books, so grab 2 of those. And I'm really happy that there's still some modern comic books you can pick up for a couple bucks that are a spec play still to this day. Next up is one of my, I don't want to say favorite. I say it's all time. I think people go, oh, everything's a favorite. But honestly, Milo Manara, I believe he's Italian artist. I knew him from when I was a kid from heavy metal. and obviously he's more of an erotic artist. And he was the one that, I don't know, if for folks who, maybe are newer to comics, he got in trouble for a Spider-Woman cover where he posed her, provocatively, with her back arched, and a lot of people were upset, saying that was an unrealistic pose, even though there was a female who, did almost the exact same pose, showing it was possible. But the idea was, no matter what, he's more of an erotic pinup girl artist. If you put him on a Marvel book doing Spider-Woman, or in this case, Scarlet Witch, you're going to get erotic style art. So, I don't know what people thought they were going to get from a Milo Manara cover. I like his art. I think it's great. His the Wonder Woman cover he did for I believe a museum, a thicker book, is one of the most beautiful Wonder Woman covers ever made. So his art's great. If you don't like his style, that's great, but don't, I felt like it was really weird for people to come out and try to cancel him, or try to get him to, for Marvel to fire him or not use him anymore, when he does the art style that he's been known for like 40 years. So it's just weird, that happened. The other thing too is Marvel actually didn't get rid of him, which is great. So they kept using him. He's done covers after that book, so it's great. Again, this is one of those great 1/100 covers, Milo Manara. Obviously, this kind of book, with Scarlet Witch still being pretty hot today, definitely a book that when you take it to a Comic-Con, people take notice. Next up is the Italian edition of Venom Zero, but it's, like Venom 1, for the U.S. market. And again, they call it the platinum, so it's, it's got the silver foil. I bought it just to kind of, see what it looked like. It's not in the greatest shape. You can see it's got some damage there, from just how thick the cardboard is. It's a really thick book. You can see there. So it's just one of those interesting books. It's just cool as a Spider-Man Venom collector. It's just fun to have a book like that. I probably overpaid for it, but hey, it's just one of those cool looking books. You don't see it very often. I was just kind of curious. Next up is a Steam variant, Spider-Man number 10. I'm not sure, science, technology, engineering, and math. So there is the Spider-Man number 10 Miles Steam variant, and then there's the Gwenpool number 8 Steam variants, and they're kind of cool. I just like the idea that they're celebrating education a little bit. I don't think the variants have any real huge value or any first characters, but next up is probably one of my favorite new Spider-Man books that's come out in a while, SpiderPunk number 1. This is I believe it's the Okazaki 1 in 50 variant. Just a beautiful book, really cool action, and it's worth some good money today. People still like that cover. Next up is probably my favorite book that's come out in quite a while. When I saw the preview for this book, I had to get it, and I paid $200 for this book, and it shot to $400. It's come down a little bit, but the reason why this is so great, obviously Jenny Frison art is super great, and just one of the greatest comic cover artists that I enjoy modern comics, from how she draws females, and just how she creates the covers, and just one of the obviously she has a lot of art that's already expensive from a variant standpoint. Collectors really love her, and I love her, and so teaming her up with an image of death, provided for the first time, in my opinion, in comic book history, a great death cover. There's been some really good ones, but this is the first one that I consider to be almost perfect. It's literally the cover we've all wanted for this character for quite a while. I think the Action Comics cover is probably her second best cover, just by herself. Then her, obviously her first cover. From from her first appearance, or from Sandman 3, but like just or 4, I get confused. But this is from a variant cover, just perfect image of death, and I'm really glad that someone finally did it. It seemed like low hanging fruit for a long time for someone to do just a striking black and white death cover, full on goth image. So I'm glad somebody did it. It just seems so obvious that maybe that's why no one did it. It was so obvious, but it's taken off in the secondary market. I believe this book will continue to hold value because of the popularity of the artist. And the new when the Netflix show hits, I don't think it's going to have any real bearing on a book like this, because people love this character and this image of the character. They've wanted a book like this, just to have this classic version, this image on a full cover. I don't think any portrayal of her as a different looking character, or in the Netflix series, if it's great or if it's terrible, this book will always have popularity, because I just feel like it's hard to make a better version of Death as a character, and the version that people really remember her as classic version. So I feel like it's such a good book that it's going to stay popular and hot for a while. Now the next couple books here, Amazon's number 2, Rose Bash, Task Force Z. This is Perillo variant, Justice League 75, and Dark Knights of Steel number 60. These are all like cardstock variants I got from Midtown, just for fun. That's a Middleton cover, so they're just like interesting variants I pick up because they're really cheap on Midtown. After a couple of weeks, you can get these sometimes for really, really cheap value, and I just kind of like some of those covers, so I picked them up. Next is a really fun cover. This is Thor number 2, Hastings variant. I got it pretty cheap because it has some damage down here. I think I paid like $10 or $15 for it. It's just a fun book. Cool cover. I've got a 9.8 kind of highlighted I may pick up, just because I really like this cover, and I like the Deadpool. And the Hastings variants are really interesting because obviously Hastings doesn't exist anymore, so it's kind of fun to see these books still around and still kind of popping up in popularity. Here is the 1 in 10 Spiderverse book. I believe Spiderverse number 3, and so this is the first appearance of SpiderPunk. So this is the variant cover to 1 in 10, and I feel like it's one of those books that obviously with Spiderpunk having his own series coming out, this is a cool book to pick up now. But obviously he could do something in the movies in the future. So this is a book that kind of is a low risk spec because people like the design of the character, and he's in probably going to be in some future property. So I think it's a fun book to pick up. Now next up is the Mike Mayhew WonderCon Miles Morales book here. It's just a really cool image. I like how he's done it, and it's just cool. I believe it's a Run DMC type of. That's the homage to it. So just cool. Like the Raza, DJ variant, this variant, the hip hop variants from Miles are always really popular. This is a book that I think you just hold for a while, and eventually it starts to really go up. And then last raw book is Mark Brooks, Captain America 1, homage to the Golden Age, where he's punching Hitler. Just a cool book. It's like $15, most of the time, $15 to $20. But it's a great cover, and I'm really, really digging Mr. Brooks's art. In fact, I've picked up some more art, so I'm going to move on to my graded comics. I'm going to grab those. First up is Spider-Man 12. So you saw Spider-Man 10 from the same run, 2017 run that I showed earlier with the Steam variant. So this is 12. This is actually it's not a variant. This is the basically the regular cover. for number 12, but it's first kiss between Miles and Spider-Gwen. It's 9.8, and people love this book. It's really taken off, and it keeps going up in value. And I think it's one of those books that, as if they become like a power couple, superhero couple in the universe, in their own way, in the Spiderverse or whatever universe they kind of exist in, this has staying power. And I think just because it's such a cool cover, and I think it's great that it's a number one. Even though I'm a huge variant collector, obviously you see me collecting a lot of variants, I still like it when there's some number one A covers that have meaning and value, and this is a good example of one of those. Next up is again a Grail cameo. So first appearance of Grail in a cameo. So it's some debate on which book it is, but Justice League 40. So I covered my bases by getting both Grail, I guess, first appearances, so to speak. This is the gamer variant. I just thought it was a cooler cover, and it didn't cost a whole lot, and it was a 9.8. And not a ton of these 9.8s are on eBay at any one time, so just kind of a fun book to pick up as a low-end spec on the character Grail. Next up is a really cool Doctor Strange Tales number 162. And nothing really important about this book other than just a really cool artwork. It's got Jim Steranko artwork. It's got a Dan Atkins cover. But, what I love about 70s Marvel is like how the cover artist would kind of ape some of the artist styles. And this obviously is a very good, version of, I think, of a Steranko style cover. Even though he didn't do the artwork, it just kind of looks like that style. And and so to me, it's just a really cool cover. It didn't cost a whole lot, and anything Doctor Strange right now is kind of fun to pick up, and I think books like this, call them like low cost, cool cover books from this book is from, I gotta see again, for 1967. So obviously it's an earlier earlier book. And again, my love for Mr. Brooks. So this is a Astonishing XMen number 1. This is the Virgin variant of Astonishing XMen number 1, Psylocke Virgin variant. And sorry, let me cut that out. I don't know why I'm having problems. It's just late. 3, 2, 1. So this is Astonishing XMen number 1, feeding on my Mark Brooks love affair recently. This is a 9.8 Psylocke Virgin variant. Obviously, this is just a crazy cool artwork. And again, I believe this is like really a modern take on the art and the character, and just really beautiful, well done. People are really excited about his art, and when he shows up with these Virgin variants, people love him, and they're not overly expensive. But again, as the variant collector, and I'll talk about variants a little bit in another video I'm putting on, getting ready to put out. But really, there's so many variants now that you almost kind of have to look at it like, the artwork will eventually start to matter, like how good it is, who the artist is. And I think he's kind of one of those guys where you can kind of get in, and just be assured that people love his artwork, and it's so good that it's not going to go to bottom. It's not going to go to zero. And so even though there's a lot of variants and a lot of things coming out, I think he's pretty safe to buy. And I really think books like this, are just fun to have if you're into art and into the character. And so again, like I talked about with Sandman, with the Death cover, that cover, that Frazan cover, is just, for a collector like me, I'm a huge Death fan. That's the perfect cover for me, and I love it. So I'm always going to want that book, and I think you're going to find that for, fans of this character, you're going to have people who just want, this kind of artwork because they love the character and they think, the art's great. And last up is Terror of the Jungle number 20. This is an LB Cole cover. Again, I showed on my Instagram. Probably the nicest cold cover I've gotten in quite a while. Just a great, I don't say stereotypical, but if you're into Cole, right, the two things you want are green and orange and yellow, right? That's the color palette that he's really known for, and he just loved those colors and they really popped on these horror books, and so there was a reason why he used them. But this is a great example, and then it's underwater. You've got kind of blood in the water. I mean, it's just a great visual, a lot of action going on the cover, just very nice visually, and it presents itself super nice. In fact, the only really thing wrong with this book is it's got a hole punch right there. I don't know if you can see it. Sorry, I hit the camera. It's up here and right there. You see it? It's got a hole punch. So again, without that, I think it grades a lot higher. It's one of these great covers that I think people just love this kind of art and this style. And if you're a fan of LB Cole, this is like kind of like like I talk about Schomburg. If you love Schomburg art, this is kind of like LB Cole to the max. I think if you love that style of art, this is kind of the cover you want. And so I picked it up, and it presents well when I'm going to hang it on my wall, and it's going to look great. So there it is, guys. That's my comic book update for the probably the month of May. Probably won't do another one until June, as I kind of get more books in and kind of build them up into one big mail day. So let me know what books you like, what you want to see more of, and just drop me a line about comic books, because I don't get to talk too much comic books in my comments and my videos. And let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.